Hi everybody, I'm Karen Gibbs, Creative Director of I can talk today. Banyan Boutiques by Northcott, and you are in the group Karen Gibbs for the Love of Boutiques. It's Thursday, it's Cinco de Mayo. Who's having tacos for dinner tonight? Are you? I think we are. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about receiving strikeoffs, or what is a strikeoff. That's part of the design process, actually. In boutiques, it's a little bit different. In cotton, first of all, in cotton, generally stores will see it. They'll see the sketches, or they'll see the designs, and it's on shade cards, or sometimes it's on fabric, but it's not final yet. The strike off, they approve a strike off once they put it into production, and then they move forward. With boutiques, what happens is I choose the colors that I want to use in a boutique, and they send me strike offs of what they think that I wanted in that particular boutique. And it can change everything, as you know, can change the look of a fabric or a boutique. So the strike off gives me an idea. It's a way of communicating visually what I'm looking for, or how the collection, I can layer it together. Okay, so a strike off is actually fabric. It's taking a little bit of the fabric and making the colors that I requested, and making the colors that I requested and adding them or putting them in a certain order. You know, when you're doing like a watercolor painting or something like that, or all right, maybe you're making frosting for cookies, right? If you add a certain color, it changes it. Or if you add it in a certain order, also, it changes the look of something. It can become muddy. It can make something look a little bit different. Remember, with boutiques, because we color everything for the motif first, and then we hold it with the wax, with the chop, right? Then we bleach it out, or bleach out the background, so then we can apply the color for the background. It doesn't always go back to white. It never goes all the way back to crisp white, or to the base goods. So you have to worry about the residue of color that's there. When you go to say, okay, I want the background. So when I'm choosing colors, I say, okay, these are the 3 colors I want in the motif, and these are the 3 colors I want in the background. But I have to remember the motif color can bleed into the background color because of the residue color that's left there. So that's why we get strikeoffs. It may sound really pretty in my mind, okay? I see it and I think, that could be great. And then it arrives and I'm like, that's not as clear and crisp as I wanted. Another thing is how much processing goes into it. How long you leave it to process also goes into it. The amount of color that you put in the process. So maybe the saturation level of color, that's another thing that you have to worry about. Now, if you do a heavily saturated motif, and then you're trying to bleach out the background so you can apply the background color, it's not going to come out very well, okay? So there is a little bit of give and take. Certain colors don't work as well with others, okay? So we have this collection, Stargazer, and this collection is being shown to stores right now. So the sales reps, if you're a shop and you want to see Stargazer, you got to contact your Banyan Boutique sales reps, and I'm sure they love to show them to you. Okay, if you're a quilter consumer and you want to see it in your shop, you have to tell your shop, because they see so many different fabrics. Okay, anyway, this one's Stargazer, and it's designed by Bound to Be Quilting. Pat and Mimi designed this collection. Okay, and it's got that feel, that kind of Milky Way kind of feel, or night sky kind of feel. It's wonderful, and the color palettes work so beautifully together. The 3 different colorways work wonderfully together, whether you're doing a small project or a large project. But how did we get to these? Okay, these weren't just the ones that we asked for. We asked for quite a bit of other ones as well. And yeah, you don't want to go crazy and say, okay, I need 100 different versions of this so I can pick 24. Okay, that's not fair to the factory either. It's a working relationship we have with the factory. They know that I'm going to ask for a few extra than what I think we're going to put into the collection, because I want to see if something will work. And sometimes there's happy accidents too. I have a color master in each factory that they'll send me something and say, check this out. This is a cool color combination, especially with maybe that particular collection. All right. So we have some of them, I have some of them laid out behind me as well. And we've chosen all of these, and we get together and we talk about it, especially with the guest designer. I get together with the guest designer and we talk about what they're looking for as far as what they can use in their projects, okay? And what to put on here. Now, I have a few that didn't make it in, okay? And I thought it'd be fun today for me to talk about why they didn't make it in, okay? This one, here's this one here. This is a beautiful batik, and we chose not to put this one in here for a couple of reasons. All right, it kind of has a blotchy effect, which I don't mind in batiks at all. I love lots of color, lots of blotches of color, right? But what I found interesting with it is it has that creamy look to it here. Whereas we have a white, we have more of a kind of a crisp white here, and same with this particular print. So it kind of didn't go as well, all right? It kind of, I thought would fight in a project, all right? So to cover what the color that went down first was the blue, right? And then we had to bleach out the background to apply the pink and the cream. So it wasn't kind of pink and white that went down. It ended up being more of a creamy color and almost going towards like a tannish color, okay? So it wasn't a clean look is basically what I thought. Although it is a beautiful, beautiful batik, all right? Here's another one here, all right? So this one, if I put it right next to these two, you can kind of see what I'm talking about, right? It has a green tinge to it. And we were thinking, okay, maybe a light green background would be beautiful with the purple, kind of light green and a little bit of pink. But it washed out and it got very kind of grungy looking, right? On its own, fun, pretty, right? But next to these two in this collection, it didn't work as well, okay? And this guy had the same kind of issue. He has the turquoise or the aqua in the background, kind of with the green and a little bit of the cream. And it just didn't look as clean as something like this, where these colors are very crisp and bright, okay? And what sets them off as a good background is something like this, where you've got clean and bright color or bright white with it. All right, so we're looking at the full collection when we're thinking of what strikeoffs or what colorways to work with. Also, when I'm looking at the strikeoffs, I think about production. I think, how is this going to work for production? Is there a risk that this is going to turn very muddy? Okay, is there a risk that we're going to have blotches of like a greenish brown? And that's not going to look so much like a night sky, right? So I worry about that too, because I don't want it to get through production and shipped to stores and the stores go, ew, that's not what I was thinking, okay? Because it is a hand-done process. There is variance in color, and we do have a quality control put in place, but I want to make sure that at the beginning, when we're looking at strikeoffs and approving strikeoffs, we have the best products out there, okay? So these colorways, you can see we've got the purples and the pinks, and we added some dark blues, and then we've got almost the Northern Lights kind of feel in here, right? I think they're stunning. I like these two as your backgrounds because they do have kind of a light, but it's a crisp light. It's a lighter color that showcases all of the rest in the collection. There's some really cool projects that Pat and Mimi came up with too to go with this, and we put them in the lookbook. They'll be online on the Banyan Batiks website, so you can peruse and dream about which ones you're going to do. But anyway, after strikeoffs are done, after we're done with strikeoffs and decide which ones we do, then we order sample yardage and get the headers made like this for the sales reps. What happens to the strikeoffs that don't get approved? What happens to these? I take them and I put them in my library because they could work like in a different collection or something like that. I look at color combos all the time, so I have a really big library actually of swatches. But any extra swatches go to, there's a couple of restaurants in the area that use napkins, and those strikeouts go to those restaurants as napkins. So if you're in the Denver area and you want to see what's coming next with Banyan Batiks, you might go to those restaurants, and that's where you're going to find out what's coming next, even before we make them into headers like this. Okay, so this collection is Stargazer by Bound to Be Quilting, and I'm Karen Gibbs, and you are in Karen Gibbs for the Love of Batiks.